Is it possible that your chair might be holding you back from performing at your highest level while gaming? Let me tell you my story about chair experimentation over the last few years. Like probably many of you, I used to use a very cheap chair from Amazon for my gaming for a long time. It looked pretty decent and the seat was actually fairly comfortable for short periods of time, but after I'd sit in it for maybe a couple hours, my butt would really start to get sore and it had basically no lumbar support, so my back would just really hurt after long sessions. After a couple of hours, I just couldn't deal with it anymore and I had to get up and do something else. Taking breaks to stand up and stretch and move around would definitely help a little bit, but the reality is that my career right now is in streaming and making YouTube videos, so that means I'm spending a lot of time in my chair every single day. So I need to figure out something that was going to be a little bit more comfortable and support me while I'm doing this kind of work. Luckily, my friends over at Ergonomics recently sent me one of their ErgoChair 2 models to test out, and so far I've been really impressed. So before we go any further with this video, I want to be 100% transparent about the background of how I got this chair. So Ergonomics did send me this ErgoChair 2 to test out and review for the video, but all of the thoughts are 100% my own and they didn't have a chance to review the video at all or give me any sort of feedback before posting it. So these are my impressions after spending a little bit of time with the chair. Okay, so back to my chair story. In the world of office and gaming chairs, there are a bunch of different price brackets where chairs typically fit. These will typically equate to how high quality the chair is, and chairs are normally rated for how many hours they're designed to be sat in. On the low end of the spectrum, you have these cheaper chairs that you can buy off of Amazon or any big retailer. These are usually pretty inexpensive and they do look decent, but typically they won't hold up well for a long period of time, and certainly most of them aren't going to help your posture out very much while you're playing those longer gaming sessions. Now, the next rung of the ladder is where these gamer chairs tend to live. I don't want to offend you if you decide to go with one of these chairs in the past, because I totally understand they have excellent marketing behind them. They're typically repped by a lot of big streamers, YouTubers, esports organizations, and the marketing behind them is actually really good, so I understand the appeal. The reality though is that most of these are not very ergonomic and helpful for actually maintaining good posture while you're gaming. They typically have really poor lumbar support, the actual seat that you sit in is not that comfortable and doesn't really help your butt feel good after sitting for a long period of time. And a lot of that's because in reality they're designed to be more like a car racing seat as opposed to an ergonomic office chair. That type of seat is just not designed to be sat in for a long period of time. I've heard so many complaints from friends who have sat in these types of chairs for many hours, complaining about how much their back and their butt would hurt after long sessions, and especially over the long haul of several years of sitting these. A lot of times people have some pretty serious issues, so I personally would avoid these. In addition to the problems with the lack of lumbar support and not very squishy, comfortable material, a lot of them have these really hard and tall sides that are just not very comfortable to sit in. Okay, so the next tier of this chair pricing ladder is probably what I would call the mid-range chair. This is where things like the Ergonomics ErgoChair 2 fit in. For around $350 US, you're getting an actual ergonomic office chair with proper support for your body. I can tell you firsthand the experience going from that cheap Amazon chair and then testing out the ErgoChair 2 is a night and day difference. The back and headrests are made from this really breathable mesh material that distributes your weight very evenly and it feels really comfortable. I really love the materials that they chose for pretty much every part of the chair. One of my main criticisms of those gamer style chairs is that they typically get really hot and sweaty after sitting in for just a short period of time, but that's not a problem at all with the ErgoChair from my experience so far. I found that the seat cushion has been pretty soft but also very supportive. I was actually kind of worried about that at first when I noticed that it was a padded seat instead of those mesh style seats like you might find in some of the higher end chairs, but I'm really pleasantly surprised that the seat actually feels really good to sit in. It's soft and squishy enough to be comfortable, but it's also firm enough to feel supportive. I guess time will tell how well this design holds up, but after a few weeks of using it now, I'm really happy with how they designed the seat. As you'd expect from a nice office chair, it's incredibly adjustable as well. You can adjust the seat base forwards and backwards, adjust the stiffness of how hard or easy it is to recline, the tilt angle of the seat, the height of the lumbar support and the height and the tilt of the neck rest, and of course the overall seat height. I'm really happy to report that this chair does get tall enough for my personal desk setup here. That's a problem I've had with some of the higher end office chairs that I've tried before where even at their highest setting, I just couldn't get it comfortable for where I like to sit. One of my favorite things so far is the ability to adjust that tilt angle at the back of the chair. This is one of the biggest issues I have with that cheap Amazon chair. I just couldn't get the chair to feel like it fully supported my back while gaming, since I tend to have a little bit more of a forward tilt while I'm really getting into the game. I would say definitely my biggest gripe with the chair is the arms. The material they have on the top of each armrest is pretty firm. I feel like they could have gone with a much squishier material here to be a little bit more comfortable. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it is one area of the chair I think could be greatly improved in a next edition. The bigger issue I do have with the arms though is the height. They are adjustable, but the lowest possible position is still just a little bit too high for me. This prevents me from getting as close as I'd like to get to the desk while I'm gaming. Luckily though, the arms are modular and I actually ended up just taking them off after a couple weeks of use. For how I use the chair, I'd rather just not have them be in my way. I'm really hoping that since the arms are modular, sometime maybe Autonomous will make some better arms that are a little bit shorter and more comfortable, and I could easily just swap them out. The other small issue I found is that occasionally the headrest will change positions a little bit when I put my full weight on it. This can make a loud adjustment sound when you hear it clicking in between the different height settings, and that can be a little bit unsettling when your ears are right next to it. One thing I'd like to mention that's definitely not perfectly applicable for gaming, but incredibly awesome about the chair is the reclining feature. When you recline backwards, you feel almost weightless. It is incredibly comfortable, and I feel like I could take a nap in that position anytime. As far as the assembly goes, the chair came in a huge box and was pretty easy to put together. It took me about 45 minutes total, and that was while filming it, so I'm sure you could do it even a bit faster if you weren't worried about getting the whole process on camera. The materials used throughout the whole design of the chair are these high quality plastics, metals, and fabrics. It's really stable and it doesn't make many of those odd noises when sitting and shifting around like several of the other chairs that I've experimented with. Now, if you're doing your chair shopping, you're probably also familiar with some of the higher end chair models like the Herman Miller and Steelcase options. And those are excellent chairs, but they do come in around 3 to 4 times the price of the ErgoChair too. So I understand that's probably just not a realistic option for a lot of people with a smaller budget out there. If you're comparing these chairs value per dollar and you're not absolutely rolling in dough, I think the ErgoChair 2 is incredibly hard to beat. It has some of the same adjustability features as the Aeron that I really loved, and I'd say in many ways it's on the same level for comfort and build construction. So I guess the question to ask after all this back and forth would be, does getting a higher end gaming chair actually make you a better gamer? I would argue that it does. Having good posture that allows you to get into the right positions and stay there comfortably for many hours during long practice and gaming sessions makes a huge difference. After moving from that cheaper chair from Amazon that I was using over to the ErgoChair 2, I've been able to play for much longer gaming sessions and play a lot more comfortably. This has led to some improvements in both my aim training activities as well as my overall performance in all the games I've been playing. I would confidently say that the ErgoChair 2 has at least doubled or maybe even tripled the amount of time I feel comfortable sitting in a chair while playing games, and to me that's a huge win. If you're interested in trying out an ErgoChair 2, I have a link in the description as well as promo code Pattycakes, which will help you save a little bit of money as well as support the channel. So let me know in the comments, what chairs have you experimented with so far in your quest to build the ultimate gaming setup? That's all for now, catch you guys next time.